Finance and International Financial Institutions is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Clearly, AI represents a transformative force, one that can exponentially enhance productivity, bolster our financial system's global edge, and it will no doubt influence our culture. Technology never exists in a vacuum, and I've long warned about the erosion of our Fourth Amendment protections in the digital age. The Patriot Act, for example, massively expanded domestic surveillance. The Bank Secrecy Act had long ago obliterated any real claim to privacy in your financial dealings. Most state bureaus of motor vehicles are monetizing the personal data citizens are required to provide just to drive or obtain ID. Now the government is outright buying data that would otherwise require a warrant or a subpoena, sidestepping the Fourth Amendment entirely. Because we are serious about fostering innovation, and we are serious about our Constitution, we also need to recognize that AI should serve the American people without turning it into another tool for unchecked surveillance or data exploitation. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit this document for the record. In my recent op-ed for the Daily Caller, I emphasize privacy is a foundational layer for ethical AI.
Without objection.
Thank you, Chairman. Without it, we're handing the keys over to surveillance state on steroids. So we need to update the regulatory framework for AI or build it in Congress, and we certainly need to address privacy because that is the data set that AI is using. Urgent questions including who's liable if AI is misused, who profits and how when someone else's data or intellectual property is indexed or shared with AI. When does law enforcement need a warrant, if ever? These aren't abstract questions, they're urgent, and Congress needs to be proactive, not reactive, to set clear boundaries. We can't let AI become another excuse for Big Brother to pry into our lives. So what safeguards do we need? We should learn from other jurisdictions, but we should, of course, chart our own course. The EU's AI Act, for instance, takes an approach with outright bans on real-time biometric surveillance and social scoring, measures that align with protecting individual liberties from invasive tech. But in other ways, the European Union has become, pretty Orwellian with some of their privacy approaches and speech limitations. So positively framing safeguards around AI is important. Freedom surrendered is rarely reclaimed, so I'm encouraged by the Trump administration's AI action plan with its emphasis on accelerating innovation, building infrastructure, and leading globally. It promotes open source development, cuts red tape, and streamlines permitting without smothering the private sector. Mr. Reisman, how are financial regulators protecting the vast amounts of sensitive financial data that the government already collects from AI exploitation?
Thank you for the question. First of all, I just want to your point about raising data privacy and this very important foundation for a sound environment, not only for keeping people safe, but for innovation, and would underscore our sense that having a sound privacy framework in the United States is actually not only consistent with, but important for achieving the goals of the AI Action Plan. So it's encouraging to see progress in that area. I think others may have more experience than me with what's going on inside the agencies for what they're doing to keep data safe, so I would defer to others.
Anyone else?
I'm happy to take that, and I would agree that data is the one place screaming for federal legislation to create a proper baseline for how we secure data that will be consumed by AI models. With respect to your question, what can regulators do? We were just talking about privacy-enhancing technologies, things like encrypting data. Ultimately, financial regulators need to be recognizing that there are these developing privacy-enhancing tools and making sure that regulated financial institutions can use those technologies. So data can be encrypted. We can avoid creating honeypots of information that are being sent every which way. I mean, the reality is today, all of our information, driver's license photos have been emailed, sent to every single provider. There's a better way to move encrypted information and limit access to who actually gets it.
Thank you. I think the computing architecture is really important. I've always liked blockchain technologies. I like zero-knowledge proofs and ways to protect data that way. The government, in some cases, has artificially limited that. But I will submit written questions for the record. I'm really curious how you protect intellectual property, copyrights, trademarks, and maybe monetize that for other people down the way. Maybe blockchain does it, maybe there's other ways, but thank you for your expertise and attention. Thanks for this hearing, Chairman. I yield back.